is my character Deja. He is very fast and very powerful inside.
Tony Jaa just broke down in tears on live TV, and the audience was left absolutely speechless.
Wow, everybody is coming. I'm so happy. My character is badass, but now dance to the ball.
But what led to this raw, emotional moment? For years, he's been known as a fearless martial arts legend. But now, a shocking revelation has changed everything. What did Tony Jaa reveal that left fans stunned? The truth behind this emotional moment is more powerful than anyone expected. Stay tuned, because you won't believe what happens next. Cultural bridges through martial arts. Tony Jaa has always been more than just a martial artist. To him, martial arts are not just about throwing punches or performing jaw-dropping stunts. They are a bridge between cultures, a way to honor history, and a spiritual journey. In July 2020, he sat down with Indian action star Vidyut Jamwal for a deep conversation on the show X-Rayed by Vidyut. What started as a discussion about martial arts quickly turned into something far more fascinating. A deep dive into ancient traditions, Indian mythology, and the spiritual roots of combat. As the conversation unfolded, Jaa shared something that caught Jamwal's attention immediately. Muay Thai, Thailand's powerful and centuries-old fighting style, has deep connections to Hindu mythology. In Thailand, it's common to see people paying respect to Lord Ganesha before starting their work, especially in performance arts. This tradition, Jaa explained, wasn't just a random cultural practice. It was a reflection of Thailand's long-standing connection to Indian culture. But what really lit up Jaa's face was when he spoke about Ramayana, the great Indian epic. He wasn't just familiar with the story, he was passionate about it. In Thailand, they have their own version called Ramakien, where Hanuman, the monkey god, is a central figure. Hanuman's strength, agility, and fearlessness make him the perfect symbol for Muay Thai. Some of the movements in the fighting style, like powerful leaps and swift strikes, are directly inspired by the legendary monkey warrior. Then, Jaa revealed a dream of his, one that had Jamwal nodding in admiration. "I want to play Hanuman in a movie," he said, his voice filled with excitement. Given Jaa's breathtaking acrobatics and martial arts skills, it's easy to imagine him bringing Hanuman to life on the big screen. Jamwal, a martial artist himself, was fascinated. He trains in Kalaripayattu, India's oldest martial art, which, just like Muay Thai, has a deep spiritual core. In Kalaripayattu, he said, fighters don't just learn how to fight. They learn to connect with nature, to understand the energy around them. Jaa smiled. That was something he could relate to. The two stars kept discovering more and more similarities between their arts. In Kalaripayattu, warriors train by mimicking the movements of animals, just like Muay Thai fighters draw inspiration from legendary Thai warriors. And before a battle, both traditions require rituals to pay respect to teachers and ancestors. In Muay Thai, fighters perform the Waikru Ram Muay, a graceful dance that honors their masters before stepping into the ring. In Kalaripayattu, similar ceremonies are held before training sessions. It wasn't just about fighting, it was about discipline, respect, and carrying forward a legacy. Jaa's admiration for different fighting styles wasn't limited to just Muay Thai or Kalaripayattu. He shared stories of his time in China, where he trained in Wushu and Kung Fu. "No matter where you go," he said, "martial arts always have a common thread. They all tell a story." As the conversation shifted, Jamwal asked Jaa about his experiences in action films. How did he bring so much raw energy into his performances? Jaa's answer was simple. "I don't just fight, I tell a story with every move." He recalled the first time he watched a Bruce Lee film as a child. The way Lee moved wasn't just about skill, it was about expression. That idea stayed with Jaa throughout his career, influencing his own approach to action choreography. But martial arts didn't just shape Jaa's career, they shaped his life. He shared a personal story about the struggles he faced in the early days of his film journey. "There were times I thought I would never make it," he admitted. "But Muay Thai teaches you something important. You take the hits, you fall, and you get back up." It was this mindset that kept him going, pushing through obstacles and setbacks until he finally made his mark in Hollywood. Before wrapping up, Jamwal brought up an important question. What does the future hold for martial arts? With modern movies focusing more on special effects and CGI, was the essence of martial arts being lost? Jaa thought for a moment before answering. As long as people respect where martial arts come from, they will never disappear, he said. He encouraged young martial artists to not only train their bodies, but also understand the history, philosophy, and deeper meaning behind every move. By the end of their conversation, one thing was clear. Martial arts weren't just about combat. They were a way to honor the past, tell powerful stories, and bring people from different cultures together. But what if the real fight isn't in the ring, but in the wild? Come with us to uncover this powerful battle. Advocating for elephant conservation. Tony Jaa isn't just an action star, he's a man with a deep love for elephants, a bond that goes back to his childhood in Surin, Thailand. Growing up, he was surrounded by these gentle giants, watching trainers care for them like family. Elephants weren't just animals to him, they were part of his world. He understood their intelligence, their emotions, their pain. That connection never faded, even after he became a global movie star. This love for elephants became a powerful theme in his films. In Tom Yum Goong the Protector, he played a man willing to fight anyone, anywhere, to rescue his kidnapped elephants. The desperation in his eyes, the rage in his punches, it wasn't just acting, it was real. He had seen elephants suffer, and he wanted the world to see it too. But Jaa's fight for elephants wasn't limited to the big screen. In 2016, he joined Thailand's Ivory Free campaign, taking a stand against the brutal ivory trade. At the time, Thailand was one of the largest markets for ivory, with thousands of tusks being sold openly. Many people didn't realize that every piece of ivory came from a slaughtered elephant. Jaa wanted to change that. His message was clear and urgent. Stop buying ivory. He appeared in posters and videos, using his fame to reach millions. Fans who once admired his martial arts skills now saw him as a warrior for elephants. But he didn't just talk. He took action. Jaa visited elephant conservation centers, met experts, and saw the crisis up close. He stood face to face with injured elephants, survivors of poacher attacks. One had lost part of its trunk, a permanent scar from a poacher's trap. That moment hit him hard. He knew he had to do more. Beyond poaching, Jaa also spoke out against the abuse of captive elephants in Thailand's tourism industry. Many travelers unknowingly support cruelty, riding elephants, watching them perform tricks, without realizing the suffering behind it. Baby elephants are taken from their mothers, beaten into submission. Jaa urged tourists to choose ethical sanctuaries instead, places where elephants are treated with dignity, not as entertainment. His efforts made an impact. More people in Thailand began questioning the ivory trade. Stricter laws on ivory sales were introduced. Awareness about unethical elephant tourism grew. While the fight wasn't over, progress was being made. One moment stayed with him forever. he was invited to release a rescued elephant back into the wild. The animal had spent years in captivity, but was finally free. As the gates opened, it hesitated, then stepped forward, taking in its first taste of freedom. Jaa watched in silence, hands pressed together in a respectful Thai gesture. A small victory, but a meaningful one. For Jaa, this isn't just a campaign, it's personal. He refuses to stand by while they suffer. This fight isn't about fame or image. It's about doing what's right. What happens when a man who fights for others suddenly finds himself in a battle for his own peace? Stay with us to uncover the hidden challenges he faced in his career. The breaking point in his career. Tony Jaa's journey to stardom was not a straight path filled only with success. While his breakout film, Ong-Bak, turned him into an international martial arts sensation, the years that followed were far more turbulent than fans ever realized. The intense pressure of the film industry, creative disputes, and personal struggles all built up to a breaking point that would change his career forever. After the global success of Ong-Bak in 2003, Tony Jaa became famous in action cinema. His breathtaking stunts, performed without CGI or wires, stunned audiences worldwide. Hollywood took notice, and doors to international projects opened. But as his fame skyrocketed, so did the challenges behind the scenes. He was no longer just a martial artist. He was now a leading man, a brand, and an industry figure burdened with expectations beyond his control. As the pressure mounted, Jaa took on even greater responsibilities for his next project, Ong-Bak 2. This time he was not just acting, he was also directing, choreographing, and overseeing much of the production. It was a dream opportunity, but it soon turned into a nightmare. The film was ambitious, with elaborate fight sequences, historical settings, and a complex storyline. But behind the scenes, production was in chaos. By 2008, the situation had reached a boiling point. Midway through the filming of Ong-Bak 2, Tony Jaa disappeared. He retreated from the public eye, shocking fans and industry insiders alike. Rumors began swirling. Some speculated that he had quit acting, while others feared something far worse. Eventually, it was revealed that he had sought refuge in a Buddhist monastery. In Thailand, becoming a monk is a significant spiritual decision, often taken in moments of personal crisis. For Jaa, it was a way to escape the chaos and reconnect with himself. His time at the monastery was a period of reflection and healing. He followed a strict routine of meditation, prayers, and simple living, far removed from the high-energy world of action films. This was not the fearless fighter audiences were used to seeing on screen. This was a man searching for peace amid overwhelming turmoil. But the film industry was not ready to let him go. His unfinished work on Ong-Bak 2 still loomed, and pressure from producers continued. Eventually, Tony Jaa returned to complete Ong-Bak 2, but the struggles were far from over. By the time the movie was released, it was clear that the stress had taken its toll. The film performed well, but was only half of the story Jaa had envisioned. This led to Ong-Bak 3, which was released in 2010. But by then, the passion that had driven Jaa was visibly dimmed. The excitement of his early career had been replaced by exhaustion and frustration. Following the Ong-Bak saga, Jaa found himself at another crossroads. His contract with his longtime production company had become a source of tension, limiting his creative freedom. He wanted to explore new opportunities, but contractual obligations held him back. The pressure to deliver hit after hit had drained him both physically and mentally. For a time, Jaa distanced himself from the film industry. He focused on training, reconnecting with his roots, and rebuilding his passion for martial arts and storytelling. It was a necessary pause, one that allowed him to return to the screen with a fresh perspective. Years later, he made his Hollywood debut in Fast and Furious 7, marking a new chapter in his career. This was no longer the Tony Jaa struggling under the weight of unrealistic expectations. This was a fighter who had faced his breaking point, stepped away, and returned stronger than before. He had always fought for others. But what happens when the greatest battle isn't against an opponent, but against the unseen pressures threatening to break him? Let us tell you. Emotional revelation on live television. Tony Jaa sat in the television studio, the bright lights reflecting off his tense expression. It was 2008, and the pressure weighing on his shoulders had finally reached a breaking point. The world had seen him as an invincible action star. But on this night, viewers saw a different side of him, one they never expected. As the interview began, the host wasted no time addressing the swirling rumors. Whispers of financial troubles, production disputes, and Jaa's sudden retreat to a monastery had dominated the headlines. The audience leaned in, eager to hear the truth from the man himself. At first, Jaa maintained his composure, his voice steady as he spoke about the struggles of directing Ong-Bak 2. But as the conversation dug deeper into the betrayals and overwhelming stress he had endured, his mask of strength began to slip. Jaa recounted how the film had started as a dream project, a chance to create something groundbreaking. He had poured his heart into it, overseeing every detail from the choreography to the cinematography. Yet, behind the scenes, things had spiraled out of control. Promises made to him were broken. Financial support that was supposed to be in place never arrived, and he found himself burdened with responsibilities far beyond what he had anticipated. He had risked everything, even using his own money to keep the project alive. But instead of recognition, he faced resistance at every turn. As he spoke, his voice wavered. His hands, usually so steady in combat, trembled slightly. Then, the moment came, the moment that left fans in stunned silence. Tears welled up in his eyes, and in spite of his efforts to hold them back, they fell. Right there, on live television, Tony Jaa, the fearless warrior of the big screen, broke down. The studio remained eerily quiet. The host, taken aback, hesitated before offering a few words of comfort, but the damage had been done. This wasn't just another interview, it was an unfiltered glimpse into a man who had been pushed beyond his limits. Jaa wasn't just talking about a movie anymore, he was laying bare the emotional toll of an industry that had both made and nearly broken him. Fans watching from home were shaken. They had idolized him for his physical strength, but now they saw the emotional cost of his success. Social media exploded with messages of support, with fans expressing their shock and sympathy. Many admitted they had no idea of the struggles he had been facing behind the camera. In the weeks that followed, the interview remained a hot topic of discussion. While some in the industry criticized him for showing weakness, others applauded his bravery in speaking out. It forced a conversation about the immense pressures placed on actors and filmmakers, especially those who take on multiple roles in a production. In spite of the heartbreak he shared that night, the experience ultimately became a turning point for Jaa. He had faced the darkest side of fame, exposed his deepest struggles, and yet he was still standing. And that resilience, more than any fight scene or stunt, would define his journey forward. Public opinion and redemption. Following his emotional revelation on live television, public opinion took a dramatic turn. Fans who had always viewed him as an untouchable martial arts hero now saw him in a different light, one that made him more relatable. Many took to social media to express their admiration, praising his honesty and courage in sharing his struggles. Some admitted they had never considered the personal battles he might have faced behind the scenes. One fan wrote, "I always thought Tony Jaa was invincible, but seeing him open up like that made me respect him even more. He's not just a fighter on screen, he's a fighter in life." Critics, too, acknowledged the impact of his vulnerability. Film analysts and entertainment journalists noted that this moment shattered the common perception of action stars as emotionless warriors. One columnist wrote, "Jaa's tears spoke volumes. They told a story of dedication, sacrifice, and an industry that often demands more than what a person can give." His revelation led to discussions about the pressures actors face, with many pointing out that stunt performers and martial artists rarely receive the recognition and support they deserve. Among his longtime supporters, there was an outpouring of sympathy. Some fans even expressed regret for previously judging him when he stepped away from the spotlight. A supporter commented, "We didn't know what he was going through. It's easy to criticize from the outside, but he was carrying so much on his shoulders." Others viewed his emotional moment as a turning point. For them, it wasn't a sign of weakness, but rather a testament to his strength and resilience. His willingness to be vulnerable only deepened their admiration for him. Even those unfamiliar with Jaa's career were moved by his raw honesty. Mental health advocates spotlighted his interview as an important step in breaking stigmas around emotional struggles in the entertainment industry. Discussions about work-related stress, particularly in high-pressure creative fields, gained momentum. A psychologist commented, "What we saw was a man who had reached his limit. This is something many people can relate to, regardless of their profession." His emotional revelation also sparked conversations within the martial arts community. Martial arts experts emphasizes that true strength lies not only in physical skill, but also in facing personal struggles. A well-known martial arts instructor remarked, "Tony Jaa's moment of honesty reminded us that even the strongest warriors have battles we don't see. A real fighter knows when to stand tall, but also when to acknowledge pain." This shift in perspective reinforced the idea that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a necessary part of growth, inspiring both aspiring martial artists and longtime fans alike. As the days passed, what could have been seen as a moment of vulnerability became a symbol of strength. Tony Jaa was no longer just an action legend. He was now an inspiration in a far deeper sense. If this emotional story grabbed your attention, be sure to like and share your thoughts below. And don't forget to click on the cards for more powerful moments you won't want to miss.